Good morning, everyone. My name is Collins Emmanuel, and I'll be your presenter for today. The title of this presentation is Data as a Service, Leveraging the Power of Data. DAS for short, DAAS, which is DAS for short. So when we talk about data as a service, what we are actually talking about is a situation whereby data is in the cloud, and then you can harness it to its full potential. You can process it, do your analytics, do whatever you feel like doing with the data that is already in the cloud, and you don't have to go through the old traditional method of going through the various protocols before you can access data. So in today's presentation, we will be exploring what data as a service is and how it can help organizations to unlock value of their data. This boils down to the question, what is data as a service? But before we talk about what data as a service is, I'd like to inform us what data itself is all about. Data is defined as any piece of information that is valuable. It could be a video file, it could be a text file, it could be an audio file, or even an idea that is already generated in your mind that is still in process. These are all data, as the case may be. Now, data as a service is a management strategy that uses cloud to deliver data storage, integration, processing, and/or analytics services via a network connection. Data as a service is similar to software as a service. For those in the cloud world or in DevOps, they should understand what software as a service is and how it's also similar to data as a service. Features of data as a service. Data as a service has several features, but for the purpose of this presentation, I've only highlighted about 4 features, which are centralized data management, cloud-based delivery, on-demand access, and scalability. Centralized data management. This is a process whereby all data is centralized, and then you bring them all together into one place so that it can be effectively managed and assessed. Businesses rely on a large data source, than ever before, unlike before, whereby getting data sources are limited. But currently, data sources are widespread. You have to rely on thousands, millions, and billions of data in order for you to come up with a tangible result that will aid your organization to grow productively. So and then it's important to have a centralized approach to store and manage it. And this itself has never been greater. Cloud-based delivery. This is just cloud computing. It simply refers to the distribution of computing resources, software, and data storage over the internet through a third-party provider. All it takes for cloud-based delivery is for you to just have access to an internet with your gadget, any gadget at all that is connected to the internet. With it, you can access data and applications from anywhere in the world. On-demand access. This just refers to the ability to access services, applications, or resources as needed without the prior need for planning or scheduling. All it means that the data that is already in the cloud, you have the ability to access it at any point in time. You can use it to do anything. You don't have to make any kind of pre-planning or you schedule. It's just there. It's already there in the cloud. All it takes is just a click of a button, and then you're able to access it. This also allows user to access computing resources, at any time from anywhere, as long as you are connected to the internet. Scalability. Scalability is simply a situation whereby you can, what scalability actually means is just a system whereby if you choose to grow, if the company has grown to a certain extent whereby you decide to make some certain increase in your data, it will not disturb the current data infrastructure you have. And if you choose to downgrade, it will still not disturb your current infrastructure or system architecture. What it means is that either you're upgrading from the current system you're using to a higher one, or you're downgrading because you don't need so much data anymore. It will not disturb the current infrastructure or the system that you're currently using. So benefits of data as a service. Data as a service on its own has several benefits, just like cloud computing, but I will highlight a few. One, which is improved data quality. Data as a service providers ensure that the data is clean, accurate, and up to date, which helps organizations make better decisions. I think this is self-explanatory because it's from the write-up, you can see that the data is already clean, it's good to go. More or less, let's say it's already made. Yeah. So cost-effective, yeah, it eliminates the need for organizations to invest in expensive hardware, software, and IT infrastructure. Yeah, some of these things have been like the old traditional method whereby you have to invest so much in expensive hardware and software and other infrastructures to manage, protect, and secure your data. These things have been eliminated because the cloud providers are already managing some of these infrastructures. So it eliminates the need to spend excessively on costs. Time saving. Task providers handle the data management task, freeing up the organization's resources to focus on core business activities. Yeah, like I said earlier, instead of having to spend so much time investing in hardware to manage your data, the providers have already handled this part. So you no longer have to waste time. All you just do is get your data and get your business moving as soon as possible. Use cases for data as a service. There are several use cases for data as a service. Some of the use cases ranges from all institutions in education, in healthcare, in science and technology, in the financial industry, even in politics, as the case may be. But I will highlight a few, which is number one, business intelligence. DaaS can provide businesses with access to data from various sources, enabling them to gain insights and make data-driven decisions. This is self-explanatory. Next will be healthcare. Data as a service can provide healthcare organizations with access to patient data from various sources, enabling them to provide better care and improved patient outcomes. So you can, as a healthcare, you no longer have to go through the old channel of getting information, but rather the data that you need is already there in the cloud. All you just need to do is access that data, which in turn enables you to provide a better healthcare, especially in case of emergency. You no longer have to start making calls to family members trying to ask what is happening to that patient, or if there is a kind of history with the kind of ailment that the patient is displaying. But with the data in the cloud, all the healthcare provider needs to do is just to access this data. You get the information of the patient and you already make your decision, which is also life-saving. Finance. Data as a service can provide financial institutions with access to real-time markets, helping them to make informed investment decisions. As you know, financial institutions are always in a very heavy competition between themselves. And having access to real-time information related to their output helps them to make better investment decisions, which increases growth and profitability. Data as a service, there are some of the providers of data as a service. You know, there are many providers, but for the purpose of this presentation, I'll only be talking about the big three, which are the Amazon Web Services, or AWS for short, Microsoft Azure, owned by Microsoft, and Google Cloud Platform, that is owned by Google. So comparison and features of data as a comparison of features and pricing. When choosing a data as a service provider, you have to pay attention to features and pricing because this is the most important. This includes storage capacity. How is the storage capacity? Is it the one that can take a huge ton of data, or you want just a small storage capacity, which you just pay little for it, and then you make use of it, store your data, and you're good to go. This is storage capacity, like for those who are probably iCloud users, the ability for you to store your data in iCloud and then you pay according to the storage that you have subscribed for. I think for those who are using 50 GB of cloud storage, it's about $1 per month. And then when you choose to probably go for the family plan, which is around 100 GB or 250 GB, it's about $3 or monthly or thereabouts. And then you also consider data transfer rates, then security of your data. How secure is the data that you are saving in the cloud? How secure is it? The cloud platform that you've chosen, what is their security model? What is the regulation surrounding the data that is already stored in the cloud? You also check third-party affiliations and regulations, and also government control. Then you talk about pricing model, like you have to consider the aspect of, is it a pay-as-you-go model, or it has to be a periodic subscription. So you consider these things before you make your decision on which cloud service provider you have decided to use their data services. So challenges of data as a service. Just like in our everyday world, there are several challenges everywhere. One of the major challenges that we all face currently is security and privacy concern. And this is also a serious challenge in the cloud, especially for data as a service providers. So these providers must ensure that the data is secure and comply with data protection regulations. Data ownership. Organizations must ensure that they retain ownership of their data and have control over who has access to them. So despite the fact that you've subscribed to a DaaS provider and you've chosen to store your data there, you must retain 100% ownership of your data. Just so if you choose to migrate to another service provider, you're free to migrate peacefully, or even while your data is there, you're 100% sure that you have basic ownership, and you can only grant access to whoever you decide to grant access to. Integration with legacy systems. Yeah, organizations may face challenges integrating DaaS with their existing IT infrastructure. This usually occurs when you try to, probably you've subscribed to a DaaS provider and you're trying to integrate it with your current IT infrastructure. So there might be some loopholes, some certain drawbacks that might hinder some of these smooth migration. So they are part of the challenges. The best practices for data as a service. Some of the best practices are you define clear data ownership and access policies. Which is, I think it's self-explanatory. It's either you have sole authority to the data in the cloud, or if you choose to grant access to a limited few, then you make sure you also know those who you're granting access to for security and privacy reasons. Then you choose a DaaS provider that meets the organization's security and compliance requirements. You ensure that the data is easily accessible and usable. Then you monitor and evaluate the data quality regularly. Other best practices are also there on this right-hand side of the screen, which is know what data is important and what is not. You ensure high quality, just like that. So in conclusion, data as a service providers, they provide on-demand access to data in a secure and scalable manner. Then as a client, you should always follow DAS best practices. Data protection and security should be the utmost priority when deciding on a cloud service provider, because you can never overemphasize the importance of security of your data. Even while in the cloud, it is the number one thing. It has to be secure. It is one of the reasons why even most of us on our mobile phone, you see, we have to use several security measures to keep our phone locked, just so we don't want unauthorized people accessing the contents in our phone. These contents are valuable data that we do not want those who are not authorized to see them or get access to them. It is also the same thing with when choosing a DAS provider. You have to ensure that the data is protected and the security is strong enough whereby you know that it can never be compromised. And even if it gets compromised, your data itself is safe and nothing will happen to it. Yes, that's the end of the presentation. Thanks, guys.